Hey everybody, it's me, Zach, and welcome back to my channel. Hi, hello everybody, how y'all doing? And today, I'm gonna do a little follow-up on Quirky Love Rosie! If you didn't watch my 4-part reaction series to her 4-part Vegas vlog series, in one of those videos I mentioned that I was aware that Rosie's had a lot to say on the internet about me, which I want to be clear is perfectly fine. She's allowed to say whatever, and I'm allowed to respond in whatever way I feel fit or see fit. And I did want to take some time to just do some of this because what seems to be so fascinating and interesting to me right now about Rosie is that I have provided so many receipts, countless receipts of who Rosie is as a person, what our interactions have looked like, literal things she said. I've shared nearly every DM that she's ever sent me. I think I spared you all some of the DMs where she just sent me messages and I didn't respond, like 1 or 2 word messages that I didn't respond to. But like, I put it all out there. There's not really like, if she wanted to address those things and we could have a conversation, but like Rosie lives in this world where she's created her own version of what she thinks is going on between the two of us, and she repeats a few talking points about me, so I thought it might just be easier for me to address those talking points in a video, because there are some people who think that I'm just like being so mean to poor little Rosie. Poor little Rosie, so mean. Why would you do? Cause I'm here today. We landed at this place where I'm reacting to Rosie on the internet now because she talked about me. She had shit to say about me, okay? I didn't just, well, we'll get to it. I'm getting ahead of myself.
But first.
Today's video is sponsored by Love and Pies. Lately, I've been trying to get into a good new morning routine, which starts off with a little relaxation playing this mobile game, Love and Pies. I sit down with my morning coffee and try to find matches to build the perfect orders for the people who come to my shop. You match the ingredients to help create other baked goods, and then you serve them up to your customers. But it's not just a matching game, it's also a game that tells a narrative story. You find out that your mom's beloved cafe is burned down, and there's lots of mysterious circumstances around it. And now it's up to you to rebuild the cafe and discover the secrets behind the mysterious burning, all while you bake treats and serve up your customers. It also has a little bit of love, because your high school sweetheart mysteriously shows up to help you out. So there are lots of things that you can find out in this fun little story about helping rebuild this cafe. You also get to decorate the cafe in the way that helps you best express yourself. And coming up soon, because it's about to be spooky season, they have some fun Halloween events planned for you. Not like actual scary, but like fun, spooky, because girl, I'm not a spooky girl. I don't want to actually be scared. I want like pumpkins, candy apple treats, candy corn, things like that. And they have a special game pass called the Phantom Pass coming up, and a special game called Betty's Autumn Drinks. These special events allow you to unlock special themed decorations and rewards. This really is such a low stakes, no pressure game that I enjoy playing when I get my day started. And that's really my favorite part about it all. If you're interested in trying it out, you can use my link down below or the QR code that's on the screen right now. And if you download now using my link and you reach day 3 within a week, you get to claim an extra sweet treat, 200 energy and 50 gems. So don't miss out on the crazy spooky limited time events coming up, and reach level 8 to unlock them to play. Thanks so much to Love and Pies for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get to, shall we? So, a couple weeks ago, it was brought to my attention that Miss Rosie Lynn Reed had a members only live stream where she had some things to say about me, seemingly because somebody did bring me up in her chat, and that does seem to be why she keeps talking about me. But also, you know, like, she's been known to ignore other questions. I think she has an understanding of how to block words and things like that, so it's totally her option to keep responding and answering these questions about me. So I'm going to show you some of these clips. They will be somewhat edited because she's playing like copywritten music in the background and I just don't want to deal with all of that on the YouTube end. So some of it will be edited, but not because I'm like trying to change around her words or anything like that. I'm simply trying to take the music out.
Yeah, so a lot of you may not know this, but I was a subscriber of Zachary for years, before we connected on Instagram. He was like nice to me in the DMs and we would chit chat about stuff. Honestly, there was a period of time, and I didn't watch the videos, so I don't know what was shared in detail. I don't know what he did or didn't show, and I don't care to. But what I do know is there were points where I was going through a mental health crisis, and I remember at some point apologizing to him because once I got out of that, I realized that I had been like a little weird and like shared too much with him, and I don't know if he ever acknowledged that or not, because he loves to cherry pick conversations to make himself look better. And he is not who YouTube thinks he is, and that's really that for me. I don't engage with his content. He's far more interested in what I'm doing than I am in him.
So to get started, right now Rosie's in this place where she loves to claim over and over again that she hasn't watched my videos, which is maybe true. Maybe true, but as you can see in this clip, she also says that I didn't represent our DMs accurately. And I just want to say, how do you know if you didn't watch, Diva? How do you know? How do you know how I did it if you didn't watch? You either didn't watch or you feel like I did it, but it can't be both. And like I said, by the way, I did basically read out almost all of those receipts, and you can go back to that video and watch it and see them for yourself. If I didn't necessarily read out every single word, I put the whole entire interaction on the screen so you could read through those DMs on your own. She also makes it a point to say that I'm butthurt over publicly stated opinions that everybody's talking about on Reddit, and I'm just mad because she said it.
He's real butthurt that I talked about stuff that was being publicly discussed on Reddit that a lot of people held the same opinions on, but because I said it, he took it personal, I guess. He was acting like I made the accusations when there's all stuff on the internet.
But a little point I want to make to you is when she initially brought up the stuff about Poe in her live stream, the stuff about Poe that got me fired up to just start commenting on her, to start letting her know a little bit about herself. She said what frustrated her about the Poe situation is that nobody's talking about it.
I think my biggest issue with Zach right now is no one's talking about the situation with Poe and all of that because so few people watch his Twitch.
So again, which is it, Diva? Is everybody talking about it or is nobody talking about it? And just as a quick side note, y'all remember when Rosie melted that whisk into her pot? I just want to note that in this clip, you can see that she clearly still has this melted whisk. Why? Why do you still have it? Why is it? This happened after that happened, by the way. This stream occurred after the melted whisk stream. So why are we holding on to that, ma'am? Now, she also gets into talking about the Twitch Reddit recaps that used to happen about my Twitch streams, and brings up how they stopped when she got accused of doing them.
No, you're fine, Bella. I mean, look, it was what was discussed on his Twitch because he shares a lot more on his Twitch about himself than he does on YouTube. And so there was someone who used to do the recaps of his Twitch streams. It wasn't me, but when things blew up between me and him, that person deleted everything and fucked off and hasn't done it since, which doesn't look great for me. Like, I fully admitted when I used to do it to Amber, years ago, I used to do recaps of Trisha Paytas content on Guru Gossip, and I got called out for it at the time, and I pretended it wasn't me, but it was because I panicked. And I fully own that. And honestly, if it, that's the thing, like when my Reddit got outed, I was like, yeah, it was me. You know, if it was me, I'd be like, yeah, I did it, but I didn't. It wasn't me.
Just to be clear, it wasn't my opinion initially that Miss Ma'am was writing the recaps. I had some leads on what her possible Reddit usernames were, and the ones that were writing those recaps was not one that I was aware of being hers. It may still not be. But also, now that all of this stuff has happened, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, like, I'm not here to say definitively it is or isn't because I don't have any proof. But in that clip, she did talk about how she used to do recaps of Amber Lynn's content and recaps of Trisha Paytas' content. And, speaking of that, do you want to hear something just real crazy she said in the past about covering Trisha Paytas on, these other websites?
I remember at some point I saw a comment based on what I said in my very first video, I bet she was a Trisha Paytas fan or something. And I laughed because there was a period of time where, when Shane introduced Trisha on his channel, that obviously initially I liked her. But way a long time ago, I don't even remember what, it might have been the Trump controversy of 2016. I flipped hard. In fact, there was a period of time in my life where I was on Guru Gossip writing really catty and nasty summaries of her videos so people wouldn't watch them under my current username. I'm sure they still exist, and I own up to that because I lied about it back in the day during some of my old internet shit. And so I grew out of that, and I was definitely in a really dark place because it was after I had to experience all the past fat people hate bullying that I experienced and stuff. And it was definitely a way I took out some of my negativity or whatever on someone that I felt deserved it, in a place where I was hoping they wouldn't read it, essentially, because I've never been the kind of person to leave hate comments on people's content. That's just not the move.
How crazy is it to say that you want to post something mean about somebody, but you want to do it in a place where they'll never read it? What is your mentality there? What is going on in that head of yours? The next part I want to emphasize is that she once again claims that she was only in my stream for 5 to 10 minutes when I caught her.
When I got outed for visiting a stream for 5 minutes when I unfollowed him after re-downloading Twitch, I did not know that Twitch streamers can see, I guess, viewers' names when they enter in. I don't know how any of that works. I don't know how Twitch works. So people were see, she's obsessed, whatever. And it's no, I literally spent 5 minutes or less in the stream to unfollow. So I didn't get notifications when that person went live.
I definitely made an error to begin with that I didn't go back and fact check this at the time and just include it in the original, video I made where I addressed that. But I love that I didn't, kind of, so that she could still, keep talking herself into a hole and keep saying, I was only there for 5 to 10 minutes. Because just watch, one day on Twitch, I decided to go back and look and see really, truly how long she was in my stream, because she did a few things that were helpful in identifying when she was there. Because I could see when I took the screenshot what was on my screen at the time, and she talked about how she saw me go through her YouTube videos and had seen that I had watched a bunch of them. So that allowed me to piece together a timeline. All right, let me see from the screenshot what was on the screen. I'm sorry, now we're doing a little bit, now we're doing a little bit of investigative journaling while I'm here. I just realized I never went back to see what was on the screen to see if she was being honest. So let me find that screenshot. This is the screenshot where you can see down here in the bottom corner is Quirky Love Rosie's name. This is what's happening in the chat. Too much discourse, not enough fun anymore. I know what you mean, Carly. Every time you look, it's Dollar Tree haul this, crock pot recipe that. So yeah, so this is what's on the screen. So let's get to that. These are similar. These are similar. Oh, this is very similar. So here's the I know what you mean, Carly. Every time you look, it's Dollar Tree haul this, crock pot recipe that. Okay, so this is at 38 minutes and 58 seconds in the stream. When do I actually start looking at her channel? When does that actually begin to happen? Because I didn't look at her channel anywhere before this moment. All right, so I didn't start looking at her channel for the first moment on my stream. Y'all, I'm having to scroll so much. Oh, I think it's right here. Yep, here's me typing it in at 1 hour and 24 minutes into the stream. 1 hour and 24 minutes, I finally pull. So, just to be clear, that's what? nearly 30 minutes later. She was only popping in to unfollow me. 38 minutes and 58 seconds is when, around the time that I took that screenshot. And 1 hour and 24 minutes is when I finally started looking up her channel. For whatever reason. I don't even remember why I looked it up that day. Or I guess 1 hour and 23 minutes. Yeah, either way. And she said, I saw he's watched all my lives. So yeah, Rosie, I think it was more. I think it was more than just 5 to 10 minutes, diva. I think it was. She goes on to keep talking, and it seems like she still doesn't really have an understanding of what the word parasocial means. And she also implies that whatever was said in the DMs, she's not the same person as she was all those years ago.
He's got a personal vendetta. It's really weird because apparently I'm the parasocial freak. See, because people are like holding me to the same person when those messages happen, and I don't even know how many years it's been since they happened. But I've also learned a lot since.
Just to be clear, the earliest message I have from her was February 5th of 2023. All right, we're talking 2.5 years ago, diva. You're trying to tell me you've changed a whole lot as a person since then? Are we sure? Are we sure? The most recent one I got was in 2024. Specifically, July 29th, 2024. You commented on some stories of mine where I was at the Georgia Aquarium. Okay, diva. We're talking a year ago. All right. All those years ago. All right, diva. Yeah, you're such a change. You've made so many good changes for your life in that time. And a narrative that she really has been playing out a lot is that I've just been waiting for an opportunity to strike.
He was just waiting for the right moment. He was literally just sitting there like twiddling his thumbs, waiting for the right moment to strike. Honestly, from creator to creator stance, kind of respect it. Person to person stance, you fucking suck for it. You know? I saw those 100K views. It's calculated as fuck. And people just don't see that.
As if she wasn't spending multiple live streams talking about my dog. As if she wasn't spending time on subreddits talking about me. All of these things happened before I ever made a video about her that didn't have to do with her inserting herself into Amberlynn Reid drama. And it's not just in that members only live stream. She also said it in public live streams as well.
Yeah, guys. I've seen the writing on the wall with, he has been studying me for a while. He has been preparing for this moment. He has been waiting for the moment to strike. And when I got a certain amount of relevancy, he struck. Honestly, content-wise, it's kind of smart, right? Like, he doesn't want to react to Amber anymore because he doesn't want to have that, like, dynamic. He wants to be holier than thou. He wants to be better than, right? To completely ditch girl worlds. Just to move on to a different girl, that he has followed my content for, I think, years now. And, you know, he has a personal vendetta against me. I'm never watching his content about me. But this is like a premeditated thing. And I've seen the writing on the wall for a while now. And it was really solidified when I went to go unfollow him on Twitch. And I saw, like, I was in his room for probably about 5 minutes or less. I guess when you go into Twitch, maybe there's a way they can see when viewers join. I don't know Twitch. I don't know how that works. I don't know if they can see like the viewers or not. But I found out later, apparently people knew I went in there. And I don't know how. I saw, because I don't know if he did that on purpose or not, but while I was in the room, he like scrolled through his YouTube, like I don't know if it was like recommended or if it was his like the recommended page, or if it was what he's been watching. I wasn't sure, but basically as he was scrolling, literally every other video or every row had one of my lives in it, and all of them were either watched all the way through or part of the way through. And that's when I was like, oh, he's been studying me. Okay, got it. What about Noel? Everyone talk about how Noel dumped him and he will lose his shit real quick. For real though. Then bring up the GoFundMe and all that fucking aneurysm.
Rosie's painting me out to be this strategic mastermind that has just been sitting on this from the moment I started talking to her. From the moment she DM'd me first, just as a reminder. I've apparently just been sitting here waiting when she was the one in my DMs suggesting herself for content on my channel, when she was the one that was doing the reaching out, and she's the one that's been talking shit about me on the internet when I wasn't covering her. I don't have to sit here and study you, Rosie. You're not a complex subject. I've studied complex subjects when I got my master's degree and when I got my bachelor's degree. You're not that complicated to understand.
Clock that, T.
No studying is needed. I have a folder full of DMs from you, okay, Diva? I lived that. I don't have to study it because I experienced it.
Clock that, T.
And I don't have to watch every single one of your live streams to go do a quick search of the transcripts from your videos to see every time you talk about me. It's just not that complicated. So anyways, she also recently did a public live stream with her dad, and for some reason, she bored her father with drama and lore about me.
The thing about Zachary Michael is that he is incapable of maintaining his views without making fun of fat women on the internet. And he's got this weird beef with making content about Amber now, so he has to just sub me in. Because he has to clock into a fat bitch's factory to make content. So he chose me.
I bet Sean Red.
Because he also I found out about him making content about me because I hopped on Reddit for the first time in a minute, and I scrolled for a second, and I still follow the subreddit, and they were just most of the posts have been about how he talks about me acting like he's not a hypocrite when he totally is. And I don't watch his content. I don't keep up with him. I know he stays locked in on my Instagram stories and watches everything I put out. And apparently I'm the obsessed one.
Thank you,
okay,
Brooklyn.
buddy.
So just to be clear, I watch her videos and I make content for my job and then I clock out. I actually, like I just said, don't watch most of her live streams. But Rosie does have a very long recorded and self-admitted history of watching people she doesn't like on the internet, like Chantal, Amber Lynn, and Trisha Paytas. And to that extent, then, I hope she can understand why I continue to watch her to the extent that I do. Rosie, I'm not obsessed with you. I just think you're a fascinating human who does weird things. And speaking of weird, I think it's weird that you're keeping track of me watching your Instagram stories. But let's also be clear that that's nothing new, because you would tell me in DMs all the time when you had seen that I had seen your Instagram stories. You really shouldn't flatter yourself too much. I watch a lot of people's Instagram stories, and I still follow you on Instagram, so you're naturally at the top where all the Instagram stories are, and you just come up naturally there. I'm not going out of my way to watch just yours, Diva. You know what I also think is weird, if we're really talking about weirdo behavior? I think it's weird that you say you don't keep up with me, you don't watch any of my content, but you certainly read subreddits about me. So to some extent, you're keeping up with me in some kind of way, Diva. And that's bizarre. That's weird. You're weird. Rosie also loves to throw out that I act like a hypocrite and say things like that, or that I act like I'm not a hypocrite. Whatever her wording in that clip was. And to be honest, it's hard to say here if I'm being a hypocrite or not, because she doesn't ever really specify what she thinks I'm being a hypocrite about. If I'm using context clues of things that she talked about around that time in this clip, I would say she's trying to make it sound like it has something to do with me saying I wouldn't cover Amber Lynn. But unless Rosie wants to acknowledge her own similarities to Amber Lynn and the behaviors that they have in common, I don't see how covering Rosie makes me a hypocrite in this situation. Is it because we're once again whittling down your identity as a fat woman to Amber Lynn's identity as a fat woman? Because I feel like I pointed out several other reasons over the course of all of my videos of the ways that you have many things in common with both Amber Lynn Reid and Chantal Marie Foodie Beauty. She also frequently talks about this concept of me wanting to be holier than thou than people. And that's weird to me. I don't know that I've ever intentionally sought out to make people feel that way, but that's certainly not a goal of mine when I talk about things on my channel. And there's been many times where I've apologized for things that I've said or done on my YouTube channel that I genuinely felt bad about and I wanted to correct my behavior. I also do advocate for a lot of stuff that I care about, and I do try to stand on business when it comes to those things, but I wouldn't say that I consider myself perfect even when it comes to things like that. I don't necessarily think I'm better than anybody. In fact, I'm just like Rosie and all the other people on the internet who share their opinions on stuff that potentially nobody asked for. But while we're here, let's also talk about Rosie's claims that I hate fat women on the internet and that I have to clock into the fat bitch factory to make money on YouTube. Now, she doesn't really say in any of these clips that she feels like I'm being fat phobic specifically, but she is making it sound like the reason I don't like her and the reason that I cover her is because she's fat. And before we get too far into this conversation, I just want to read to you some of Rosie's own words from my DMs on how she feels about this topic as a piece of conversation. For context, Rosie was trying to get me to react to her at the time friend Planet with a Palette, and I had mentioned to Rosie that I didn't just react to fat people and that was like kind of a thing that I was trying not to just react to anybody who was just fat. Like if they were problematic, sure, yes, we could talk about it, but like the concept of just reacting to somebody that was fat like didn't sit well with me, and I wasn't trying to build this community of like hate towards fat people. Here are some of the things that Rosie said in response to me saying that. She said, "I've watched you for a long time, and as someone is literally the same size as Amberlynn and has had trolls weaponized her name like a slur in my direction, I can tell you I know you aren't fat phobic because I wouldn't watch you. For example, I think Oh Lordy It's Jordy is a nasty person who would be far more sadistic if YouTube allowed. I think he picks at her to feel better about himself. I think you are invested for genuine reasons and then shit got way too meta with Amber. As someone who's constantly impacted by fat phobia, I don't think it helps the movement when people claim fat phobia just because they don't like being called out for behavior. Fat is a state of the body, a non-moral issue, and your dissension toward others is about their behaviors, not their bodies. You're clearly a kind person, and fuck anyone that's trying to defer you from talking about fat media. There are enough people like you out there. That's my thought on it anyways. Sometimes I don't agree with you and can tell you are unaware of certain viewpoints of why Amber may do this or that, for example, but your kindness is something that's palpable, and anyone who isn't seeing it is looking for a problem." I don't know, just something to keep in mind while we're having this conversation. So anyways, back to Rosie's argument here. Do I only react to fat women? No. If her argument is that I have to clock into this fat woman reaction factory in order to make content here, that's just simply not true. In fact, I have a whole second channel where I re-upload reactions from Twitch that features almost no fat women. It does feature women, it also features some men, but that's not the basis of the content over there. And because I'm sure Rosie and or maybe other people's arguments would be, well, yeah, and those videos don't get as many views, then let's talk about the videos on this channel that don't feature fat women that have gotten plenty of views. I've covered Dollar Tree overconsumption, and that video got a lot of views. I've covered Temu overconsumption, and that's got a lot of views. And I've covered 2 different Graveyard Girl videos, both of which are very successful on my channel. All of which had nothing to do with the weight of anybody that was in those videos. The truth is, and I've said this many times before, but I've always been interested in content that's about weight loss because weight is something I've always struggled with myself, and I've never denied that on my channel. I was initially drawn to Amberlynn because she was going through a weight loss journey, as I'm sure many of you are aware, and she was a woman who I felt like I related to because she was also gay. Obviously, I found out a lot of things about Amberlynn that I didn't resonate with, and thus became my channel. Because of Amberlynn, I've also had tangential access to other content creators like Foodie Beauty and now Rosie. I want to be clear that the only reason I even know who Rosie is because Rosie messaged me first on February 5th of 2023. Had she never DM'd me, it's hard to say if I'd be talking about her on my platform at all, to be honest with you, although there is a good chance that I would have because I was still covering Amberlynn when Rosie was inserting herself into Amberlynn's story. Do I particularly comment a lot on Rosie's weight? Well, maybe, I guess. Yeah, because it's part of her life. I have talked, especially recently in the Vegas vlogs, about Rosie's own proclamation that she was going to cure her type 2 diabetes.
The only support they have is from the bitter, horny dudes. Yeah, call me unstable all you want, bitch. I'ma keep kicking as I reverse my diabetes. Keep stuffing on camera then. Fuck y'all.
I also talked about her own struggles with mobility, and I also talked about how she discussed herself that both of those things were related to her weight.
I am fully aware that outside of like the neurodivergence and chronic pain of it all, a lot of my pain and struggle on this trip was based in my weight, and that sucks. So
I wasn't necessarily stating anything that Rosie hasn't said about herself, just to be clear when it comes to those things. And yeah, I have commented a lot about her eating on camera because if you don't know a lot about her, she has talked extensively about her experience being a part of feederism, working in sex work when it pertains to feederism. And when I first started watching her YouTube videos, she talked at length about how she never wanted to eat on camera because it would be too similar to making feeder content for her. So when she does 4 different vlogs in Vegas where she's showing the food she's eating and showing herself eating in a bed in her hotel room, yeah, I'm gonna comment on that because the things I know about Rosie is that once upon a time, she took major issue with that. But honestly, are any of those reasons that I don't particularly like Rosie? No. I think she clearly does have some mental health and physical health struggles. And I don't think that any of those things make her inherently a bad person. I've made several well laid out videos that outline the things that I don't care for when it comes to Rosie. She had a weird parasocial relationship with me before I ever made any single kind of video about her. She has an inability to stand on her beliefs when it comes to things like trans rights and or her protecting kids or whatever. She's made baseless claims about me neglecting my dog based on information I shared in a live stream where I was quite literally talking about taking my dog to the vet. And she's also spent a lot of time making weird and creepy and unnecessary comments on a subreddit about me and about people in my personal life who never, ever, ever chose to be a part of the YouTube community. So yeah, those are some things I don't like about her that have nothing to do with her weight, nothing to do with her mobility, nothing to do with any of that in which she claims that I am just clocking in to talk about. And if she's just upset about my concerns about criticism of her in general, I might remind her some of the things she said herself when it comes to equating fat women and the criticism for them to fat phobia. It's also weird that she's honed in on the negative things that I've said, although she says she doesn't watch my videos, when I've actually had a lot of positive things to say about her getting out and about in Vegas and really making that trip something special for herself, even if that is her going places just to eat. And I also defended her when the weird, strange men on the streets were being weird. I've always thought it was interesting that people try to whittle people like Rosie or Chantal or Amberlynn down to just being fat. I think it says way more about you as a person if you hear me provide very solid critique with receipts about Rosie's behavior and you say, you're being so mean to this fat lady. Well, yes, fat people can also do bad things. And I do want to be clear, I totally get it from Rosie's perspective. Being fat and her size is a huge part of the way that she navigates the world and also the ways that the world sees her. I'm sure it's a really salient part of her identity and who she is. But I think I've had really balanced and fair conversations when it comes to talking about her diet, talking about her mobility, and talking about her size in general. I also think it might say more about herself that she views the legitimate concerns that I have about her as me hating fat women, when it's clear that I just see that as one facet of who she is and that there's a lot more to her and other things that impact who she is as a person. And you might be feeling like some of this sounds familiar, and maybe that's because I've had these exact same discussions about Amber Lynn, because Amber Lynn has time and time again called me fatphobic, has said that I'm fatphobic, has whittled down all of the criticisms that I have about her to deal with her weight, when it's nothing like that. And I bring that up right now in this moment because it's worth noting that Rosie has made claims that I am so much like the people that I've reacted to in the past.
And it's just, as I've been reading the Twitch recaps, it's just, in every recap, at least one person in the comments always says, like, he's become what he's reacted to. It's actually crazy.
But yet again, Rosie is falling into the similar patterns of the people that she claims to be nothing alike. I also want to say that when it comes to her criticizing me for reacting only to fat women and needing fat women to make money, that she's really selective about this and her concern about this. And can you believe that I'm not the first reactor that Rosie has gone from liking and enjoying to suddenly not liking at all anymore? In fact, Rosie has a long history of liking reaction channels until she doesn't. The biggest example of this, I think maybe the most public example of this, is a creator named Tiny Blue Anthropologist. Once upon a time, Tiny Blue Anthropologist outranked me as Rosie's favorite reactor.
So that's the thing, is like, I recently got really into this reactor. Her name is Tiny Blue Anthropologist. I love her. And I found her because she made 2 videos about me like 7 or 8 or 9 months ago. Like, they were like roughly about a month apart. And I watch her other reaction content now. I love her so. I'm so actively in her chat. I'm obsessed with her. I think she's one of the best reaction channels, and that's coming from someone who I've always said, like, I'm super into Zachary Michael. Like, still love him, but like, I think she's number 1 now. She takes the reactions from an anthropologist lens, and I love her content. And even if, like, she's one of those people that, like, if she ever made a video reacting to me and it was, like, kind of like a low-key call-out or high-key call-out, I'd sit down and listen because I respect her so much. And I think she's so funny. She's someone I'd be friends with, like, in real life, in my personal opinion. I don't know. She might not feel that way about me, and that's totally fine. She doesn't have to. But anyway.
And Rosie recommended her channel to her audience anytime she could. All of that changed when some drama went down with another creator named Nerfy, who had a Discord that Tiny Blue Anthropologist allegedly invited Rosie to be a part of. People in the Discord were really uncomfortable with Rosie's presence. It blew up. I don't know all the details about it. But after that, all of a sudden, Rosie no longer wanted anything to do with Tiny Blue Anthropologist, didn't watch her, and didn't give a lot of context when she said that on her channel.
Whenever I was, like, first on YouTube, and I would, like, I would, when I heard of certain people's names in my chat, I would go and look them up, and I would ask people, like, what they thought, so I'd kind of get a heads up. But I kind of put her, she's not as harmful as a couple of the people that I mentioned yesterday, because, like, there are reactors like Tiny Blue Anthropologist, who covers me, who I no longer watch, but, like, she's not a parasocial fucking weirdo who's, like, trying to engage with me privately. Like, she's not, you know, messing with my life. Like,
another reaction channel that covers girl world topics that y'all might be familiar with is French Fry Girl. All the way back in July of 2023, Rosie was in the DMs of FFG, and then was surprised when she was told that FFG had some stuff to say about her in a reaction video. And in fact, I know this because she had this conversation on Twitter. The thread starts off not about Rosie, but somebody responds to the original tweet and says, FFG hates women too. Look at her and Chantal. She body shames women too. Look at how she shamed that Rosie person for her breasts. And FFG, you're up in Chantal's fupa and her bean daily, so shut it. Then Rosie responds to this person, seemingly out of nowhere, and says, this just popped up on my timeline. I didn't even know this since I skipped watching the vid, LOL. That's fascinating since she was nice in DMs. Totally cool if she didn't like the vid or me or whatever, but yeah, a lot of people have a lot to say about my boobs for some weird reason. The person went on to say, she went after you hard. I saw how nice she and Shannon were in your chats, but then they both flipped a switch. But fuck them, they're not worth it. FFG is a wolf in sheep's clothing. Which also, just so you know, and you're about to find out in these messages, Shannon, aka Chantal's former friend, maybe friend again, and then besties with FFG, was a moderator in Rosie's chat, okay? In Rosie's chat where Rosie didn't really want anything to do with Chantal, okay? Just so we're on the same page. Rosie goes on to say, yeah, Shannon was literally a mod and ghosted me. Oh well, I have no hard feelings. They can do what they need to for themselves. I've moved on to just doing me. And then Tasha says, you and FFG talked? And Rosie says, yeah, prior to the vid. I'd commented on a live about the BBJ stuff, and I just wanted her to know I wasn't talking shit because I know how the community can be. We were cordial. It was short. I distanced myself from what I was doing, and her video was up hours later. And that's when I was told Shannon told FFG about me, who was my mod. I have no idea what happened, the motivation, etc., but I'm not going to speculate. I just know that after that and the video, a lot of people in the community unfollowed me. I think it was a mixed thing, though. And then Tasha said, wow, FFG should be ashamed of herself, but I'm not surprised. They came after me when I said I'd be paying attention to her. That's how some people are with her. They are afraid she will block them or her fans will attack. Congratulations on your weight loss. Rosie said, thank you. I'm all about people getting their bag how they need to. I just would like to vibe unbothered. So that's been what I've been doing on my channel. And Tasha said, the vibe ain't good over there with FFG girl, LOL, but you seem cool, so I'll be following you around. And then Rosie said, I'm glad you like my vibe. Like I said, no ill will towards others. It's just YouTube. It sucks that I got some blowback, but people are entitled to their opinions. I'm excited to share my growth. Now, before anybody tries to say, or before Rosie tries to say that this adds on to her narrative of like, I've just been sitting over here studying her, I actually only recently found these screenshots because I went back to a creator who I've been friends with for a long time here on the YouTubies, and they had messaged me on Twitter a long time ago trying to warn me about Miss Rosie Lynn Reed, trying to say, girl, you're in danger if you keep interacting with her. Should have listened. One thing about this creator is they ain't never been wrong. They ain't never been wrong, and I'm sure a lot of you would agree. And so they had actually sent me these screenshots to be like, hey, you're not the only creator that Rosie's in the DMs with, apparently. So just in case somebody thinks that I'm studying up on Rosie, I just recently rediscovered these screenshots. She also has gone on the record in live streams saying that she enjoyed watching Charlie Gold streams, but now she thinks Charlie reacts to her content because of me.
Anybody that's able to get off the internet, and whether that's, you know, work on your mental health, lose weight, just take time away, especially when you have a following. I have such a massive level of respect for that. So I've also really enjoyed Charlie's more recent videos. I've heard that, I guess in the past, she used to be a lot more mean, and a lot of people don't like that, but it seems to me that when Zach said this in one of his most recent videos, I from my knowledge of things, I agreed with the fact that it sounds like that people hold her to a double standard. And I think there's a few reasons for that, and I'm not gonna get into it, but
I'm like completely detaching myself from Girl World, anything involving Girl World, any of the creators that I used to talk about and watch. The only ones I have not unsubscribed from are like Tiny Blue Anthropologist and Charlie Gold, and depending on how I feel about that in the coming weeks, I might unsubscribe from them too. I have nothing bad to say about Charlie, but I'm sure she doesn't. She's friends with Zachary Michael, so I'm sure she's doesn't really have much of a high opinion of me. Yeah, Charlie Gold has suddenly taken an interest in me. So, whatever. I don't really respect people that call me Amber 2.0, so I did watch her content, but I don't watch reactions about me, so I used to watch Charlie Gold, but if she's gonna say I'm Amber 2.0 and talk about me, then obviously I'm not gonna watch her. That's her prerogative. That's her channel, so. And, like, you know, creators like her and Tiny and Charlie Gold, like, they have their own platforms that, like, are built based on their own personalities and the quality of their content to a level that, like, from a creator to creator, there's, like, a level of respect, even if it's a bit begrudging. The people I'm not mentioning, I don't respect. I don't have respect for them in their content because their content's garbage. I don't know a lot about Charlie. There was a period where I kind of liked her content, but I don't fuck with people. I have a snark on Reddit. Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay, welcome to the internet. That doesn't surprise me. I don't seek shit out about myself. Literally, I would bet $1 million if Michael B. Petty had stuck around, that would have been him, but he left in his prime. That's why he has such like a gold standard lens. Yeah, I don't fuck with Zachary Michael at all. I don't hide that. Yeah, someone told me yesterday, I don't know why Charlie Gold and Zachary Michael are like BFFs, and I don't fuck with Zach, and I've said some strong words about Zach, and it was not long after that Charlie put her sights on me, so do with that information what you will.
And this one is less of an example of her maybe liking the creator to begin with, but I do just want to note that there was a time where she was in the YouTube Underground, aka Yaba's live streams, responding to something that Yaba had said about her.
But I'm in a lot of pain.
Oh, you're saying Rose is in the chat? Oh, this is great content, Rose. This is great. We just went over your not like, and we all agree. As a community, as a support, we're a support group, in case you're new here, which I doubt you are. But we agree. You're definitely nothing like Amberlynn Reed. You definitely don't look anything like Amberlynn Reed. You look more like Life by Jen, and you act more like Chantel. But we definitely see where you're trying to pick up on, like, Amberlynn's little quirky little shit that she does, for sure, for sure. Like, we're definitely following along. And I gotta say, the weight loss is DuckTales, bro. But that's just our opinions. You know what I mean?
But for all intents and purposes, she really dislikes Yaba. And I'm mostly bringing that up because it's going to be relevant in just a matter of moments. So basically, Rosie's arguments about me being fatphobic, me hating fat women, this, that, the other, is that I rely on reacting to fat women in order to be successful on YouTube. What's interesting is that she's currently been spending a lot of time in Pulpy Syntax's live streams. If you're not familiar with who Pulpy Syntax is, he's an Australian creator also named Zach, and he historically has covered specifically Chantal Marie, Amberlynn Reed, and now Rosie on his channel. All people I've also covered, but yet she continues to go into his live streams, watch them, and participate in them. So what's it gonna take for Australian Zach to get the same treatment as American Zach, Rosie? What's Australian Zach gotta do to cross the line to where you don't like his content anymore either? Is it because he's Australian? Is there an exception because he's on the other side of the world? Because he's down under? But on top of that, lately Rosie's been talking about how she's befriended a small channel called Seattle Sapphire's Low Carb World, who's also a longtime Girl World viewer.
You guys, probably a lot of you in here know, like, who Seattle Sapphire is in the chat. She has her own YouTube channel. She's someone who's been a part of my community for a long time. She and I have become, like, texting buddies, and she really helped me today because I'm working on something, like one of my goals right now, and I was really struggling with it today, and she helped like talk me through it. I made some better decisions instead, and just talking to another person and making them aware of the struggle and like letting them like, well, I don't know, think letting them is the right word, but like having them be there to help me process the emotions, as well as knowing that someone is out there like aware of the struggle and like rooting for me. It just helped me push through that moment, you know. Also, shout out to Seattle because she decided to send me the money to order another butterfly pea flower tea.
I know this because she's viewed my videos, she's commented on my videos, she probably was in live streams back in the day when I still live streamed on YouTube. And I also know this because I occasionally do watch Charlie Gold live streams, and I know that she's actively a member of both Charlie's live streams and Yaba / the YouTube Underground's live streams. Charlie did a live stream called Quirky Love Rosie bar the struggles of being clean, and Seattle Sapphire was there and sent a super chat. Granted, it wasn't anything about Rosie, but she was sitting there watching Charlie rip Rosie to shreds for not being able to clean her kitchen appropriately. And when it comes to Yaba's live streams, Seattle Sapphire sends her a lot of super chats, like a ton of super chats.
Seattle Sapphire says all the fatties are master manipulators. Psycho. Isn't that crazy, Seattle Sapphire? I do think that there's probably some kind of link between severe out of control type 2 death fat and master manipulator. Not to say that all fat people have the same mindset of Foodie and Amber, but I think a lot do. I mean, we could also take a look at your dear friend. Don't hate me for this, Seattle Sapphire, okay? I'm just teasing you. Your dear friend Quirky, she also, I feel like, is a very, if I think, and here I'm going to go ahead and say it, I think that Quirky might take the top spot as far as master manipulator goes. You guys just don't know enough about her. But I've watched Quirky to some extent, and I've put in time with Foodie. I've put a lot of time in with Amber, and even as bad as they are, as far as manipulators go, I don't think that she's as bad of person as they are, but I think she's definitely takes the top spot in manipulator. Anyways, thank you for the support, hun.
For what it's worth, she again seems to be mostly in favor and support of Rosie whenever Yaba talks about Rosie. But I would like to know why Rosie takes such issue with me and the way I talk about fat women when her new friend Seattle Sapphire has some of these things to say in super chats that she sends to Yaba. Here's a super chat where she refers to fat women as cows. She says, all the cows are acting up, lots to cover. I suppose you could make the argument she's talking about lol cows there, but I digress. She also, in one live stream, talks about how everybody's waiting for the oxygen bedbound arc to happen for Chantal. That sounds like somebody who's just really hoping for the best for fat women. There's also another super chat where she says about Chantal, she may be the largest person there. Just imagine. And one final one that I'm including is a super chat where Seattle Sapphire says, get online to say nothing is changing. Death fat bed-bound beezers lose their mind. Karma is playing the long game and it is epic. Scammer thief. And I'm mostly including this because Rosie makes it a point at one point to say that the thing she doesn't like about Yaba is that Yaba called her a death fat.
Yaba? Oh, no. Oh, yeah, no, they don't like me over there. Oh, no. Yaba calls me a death fat. She's nasty. She's got her own issues and her own lore.
And these are just a few of the super chats that Seattle Sapphire sent, and she's welcome to say whatever she wants, just for the record. I'm just taking a point both with the Seattle Sapphire comments and both with her watching Australian Zach to say, how are you going to be out here saying that I'm a hypocrite. About what? I'm not sure because you didn't say. But when you're out here constantly a hypocrite, constantly changing your boundaries, your expectations for what's acceptable when it comes to you trying to get attention from people. Because the reality is you don't have a backbone. You're happy with the attention you get from whoever will give it to you until you're not. Until it's me pointing out your weirdo behavior on the internet. Because let's be clear once again, you're weird. It's weird. Okay, Rosie? All right, diva. Okay. And let's also not forget that you asked me to react to you. You wanted to create content that would be reaction worthy. So here we are. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, Rosie. Congratulations, you're a winner. Thanks again to Love and Pies for sponsoring today's video. If you want to use my link or the QR code on the screen to download Love and Pies, you will get a special sweet treat if you reach day 3 within the next week. You'll get 200 energy and 50 gems. Don't miss our cozy, spooky, limited time events. Reach level 8 to unlock and play. Anyways, divas, that's all I have time for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did and you're brand new to my channel, consider subscribing down below. Hit the bell button so you get a notification every single time I post a new video. Make sure to leave me a comment, hit like, click share, and follow me on all my social media. I had so much fun today. I hope you did too, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!